Hi everyone, or hi everybody, which is correct. This is Bobby of Capel TV Repair with another video today that is not going to show you how to repair a board, but will be hopefully prompting some people to be more honest or more demanding, and maybe prompting some other people to be more dishonest. Depends on how you read it. What I'm going to be doing today is several things in once. I'm going to be showing you how to test a power supply board, and the board is referenced today is PSPF520501A, also known as BN44-00274A. Also, we'll be talking about business practices. And why should you be buying from eBay? Because their vendor policy sucks totally, and because it allows customers to return just about everything at no cost whatsoever, which means that you can buy pretty much everything off eBay, take it, test it maybe for a few days, use it for a few days. If it's a module like that, test your TV with it, and then open a case on eBay and say, my unit doesn't work, and vendor is pretty much forced to accept it back or give it to you. Either way is fine with them, or give you a refund and leave it with you. And if it has any value, of course, the vendor will say, as we did, send it back, and then you get all of your money back. You don't pay for shipping in either direction. It's heaven. It literally is heaven. Never mind what is right and what is wrong. And the reason for this video today is that we did know very well that this board was functional when we sent it to a customer, and then customer came back and said it's not working and wanted to send it back at our expense. What the customer said exactly was doesn't work or defective. That's pretty much all. They didn't say message. They said that they want to return it because it was defective, and we came back to them and sent, sorry to hear about your trouble. That day was tested again. No, that's wrong. That board, not that day, that board was tested again the day it was shipped, which I know I did by myself. I actually had the whole TV that I took apart on that day. It's been sitting here for about 2, 3 maybe years. We were hoping to start repair services on other boards, but it didn't catch up. There was not enough demand and interest for fixing other boards on the TV, so we took it apart. It had a slight defect in the panel. It couldn't be sold. It couldn't be anything. So anyhow, we asked what is wrong, what is not working, because we will test the board again when it shows back, and we'd like to get the facts straight for both sides. I don't know how much you can see from that, because we don't know that that board was working when we sent it. And the customer didn't get back. Then we asked hello, and then they got back 2 days later, said the power board doesn't work. There it is. And then we asked, can you be please more specific about that? Because, as I said, we did test it before sending, and we intend to test it again when it arrives. And we'll be posting that video, which is what I'm doing right now. What does it do? Please let us know if it doesn't do the exact output voltages, no VS, how to test the board, etc., etc. And the customer came back and said, dear customer, the power board is faulty and does not mark the voltages. Please refund the money. And then we said, we heard the first time. So this is the board. This is for the customer. This is also for everyone who wants to know how to test those boards. A really quick 101 on testing. You can see similar things in our videos of ours. This is the commanding socket where the main board goes, and this is the description of the pins there. There are several of them, but the ones of interest is every power board when turned on for a plasma TV has one voltage that's called standby voltage, and it's either 5 volts or 3.3 for this particular board. It is 5. But it isn't labeled as 5, it's labeled as standby voltage. You can see it in the left column, my bad, on the right column, second from the top, just below PS_on. So on that standby voltage is the voltage that's needed by the main board in order to provide the minimal functionality of the TV that is waiting for a button click or a remote power on command. It's very low power, but it gives just about enough juice on the main board to be listening whether something will happen. Then there is the PS on pin, which is the top one on the right column that says PS_on. That one for Samsung boards, plasma TV boards, and some others has to be set to ground. That is, its default voltage state is 3.3 volts or something there above logical zero, and it has to be brought to ground in order for the most of the functionality of that power board to wake up the power factor correction circle, to wake up actually the whole that circuit here usually gets voltage through the relays after the board gets signaled. This portion is the power factor correction circuit. The voltage in those capacitors raises to 450 volts. Sometimes they may have voltage before that on certain boards. I don't know about this one, but they will either have 160 before the board gets activated, or they will get nothing. And once the board gets activated by grounding this pin PS on, then 450 volts will show up here. Then those transformer, these two, well, this one only for that board, transformer will also start working and produce outputs, and it will produce those voltages here will be output to the board. 15 volt amp, if you see, that's 15 volt for the amplifier on the main board, for the audio amplifier. The 5.3 volts, which carry a whole lot more juice than the standby voltage. They are 5 volts, but different 5 volts. They come from a different rail. Also, that voltage, the VA, there are two big high voltages in plasma TVs. Those are the address voltage for the plasma panel and the sustained voltage. And they're usually testing points for them. Here is the one for the VS, that is the highest, and also the less voltage that comes up in TVs. And this is the VA voltage. Usually on this connector, there's also VG. Yeah, there it is. VG is the lowest pin there. It usually is 15 volts. And what I'm going to show you now is we have such dongles for all of the boards that we test, because it's kind of inconvenient to be jumping those wires all the time with cables. It's possible, cables like this one. But what we did is we hacked real quick something that jumps those two wires, jump PS on and ground, and this jumps 5 volts to VS on, which is a separate pin here. In order for the VS to be turned on, there is that pin that's called VS on, the top on the left column, which needs to receive 5 volts, and then and only then the VS voltage of about 207, 210 volts, whatever the table says. There's got to be a table somewhere around here on the board that says what are the output voltages that are being produced by the board. So, what I'm going to do now is, this is my meter. I'm going to show you first when I plug in here, and let me see if my power is turned on. Yes, it is turned on. There is nothing that you can hear from the board because the relays are not turned on. However, there will be a standby voltage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure that. As you can see, it says -3 because my plugs are, my probes are switched. The red one that should be going for the measuring voltage is in the common hole, and the black one is in the active probe. I do that for a purpose. I explained that in other videos. I'm not going to be explaining now. We'll just be reading negative values at the moment instead of switching them. So this is the standby output. Sorry, this is the PS on pin, the very first pin here. It is reading, making poor contact. Okay, it is reading 3 volts. The standby, which is right next to it, is reading 5 volts. What we will do is when we plug that little dongle here, we will short PS on. Shorting, it's got to be turned the other way around. and click will be heard. There you go. And now we're going to have a bunch of other voltages. I'm going to stick that to the third pin from the left, and it happens to be too high. Oh, because I'm at manual 6 volts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it at auto, and then third pin from the left is 15 volts. This is how it is. I'm going to move that higher, 5 volts, further higher, 15 volts again. And let's see, what do we have on the right side, which is what I was measuring. 15 volts, ground 5.3, 5.3, 15 volts for the amplifier. Just randomly, let's pick the second on the left side. The first one is not connected, and my plug is 1 pin short, so the second goes about here, and it shows 15. Oops, sorry. That's what happens when you're operating improperly the camera. Okay, so you have them focused now. The second pin is 15 volts. Let's try VG. And VG here is 15 volts, just as expected. Let's try VA, which I'm not sure will be correct. I mean, turned on. There it is, VA. No, it's not present. So here's what we're going to do. Now, this one is going to be a little tricky because I have to hold that while testing the voltage. Let me see, what can I do about this. I'm going to measure VS first. It's important to make sure that I'm not screwing it up. VS. Okay, I'm going to be pushing VS, holding it like that. I'm going to move that to here, and I'm going to press the button. Let's see if you can see where the probe is. There we go, I pressed it. This is VS. Over there, 210 volts. And I can do the same with the VA. This is VA. Pressing the button, it's going down because I released the button. So after pressing it, it's 55 volts. Just for the sake of exercise, since the board is activated, I can also show you there will be 360 volts on the PFC circle. Here at those caps here. 400 volts. 360 did I say? 396 is what I meant. There you go. Good contact. So, this board produces all the voltages that it's supposed to produce. It is working. This video is made for William Cano and anybody else who doesn't know how to test boards. And it can be used by William Cano to apologize and correct their mistake and recognize the fact that they are taking advantage of us unfairly. This video can also be used by everyone to learn how to do things. And why am I doing this? Why am I possibly teaching people how to take advantage of other people? Well, because that is the only way that I can think of showing eBay that what they're doing is allowing such things to happen. There are ways that can resolve problems like this. There is not a 100% foolproof way, but when there is a 100% foolproof way for something to be done incorrectly and somebody to be hurt and somebody else to take advantage of that, that will happen. So unless enough people start arguing and bringing eBay's attention to the fact that there is a potential possibility for them to be taken advantage of, we will be taken advantage of. It's really as simple as that. Let's hope one day things will be set to straight, and I hope that helped some people remain honest and some people learn something that is valuable. Thank you.